Your view with me, JJ, I'm tired of sitting at the desk. I thought I would sit here today, you know, to make you appreciate the variety of this Newsroom Africa studios as we march towards our 150th day now on air here on Newsroom Africa. 9/11, hey, I think I was 29 years old, and we're in this office block in the middle of Pretoria when, you know, it was about 3 in the afternoon. And suddenly the world almost came to a standstill as those 2 planes went into the Twin Towers. And what I remember vividly is people in the streets of Pretoria who now got to know what was happening, actually ululating about what was happening. You may think, why would people ululate at the death of so many people, at a spectacle that was unfolding through our, you know, in front of our very eyes? In fact, as you would remember, if you are a follower of history, the 2 planes didn't sort of happen, the 2 collisions didn't happen at the same time. And so in between those 2, there were lots of conversations about what could this mean, what is this about, and so on. But underlining all of it was what I want to talk about tonight, that when we plant a seed of hatred, we need to know that we are going to reap the rewards of tragedy, the rewards that are born of that hatred. You can't plant a seed of banana and reap a potato. That's not how life works. You reap exactly what you sow. And what Trump is doing in America is to sow even more seeds of hatred, where he is dividing the world on issues of bread and butter. The previous administrations of the United States were sowing similar seeds throughout the years. If you look at something like the blockade of Cuba, where they simply wanted to starve this nation that wanted to be its own or determine its own future. So they punished them for self-determination, sowing seeds of hatred. Of course, Obama tried to reverse that, and the very next administration is seen to want to reverse that which was going to undo that seed of hatred. So 9/11, yes, it has all its dimensions of human tragedy, because unfortunately, not all the people who died, they were Americans. So it may be that those who flew those planes into the World Trade Center were misfiring, because people then became collateral damage in a war against an America that had sown seeds of hatred. This has got nothing to do with whether or not you need to respond to a seed of hatred by planting yet another seed of hatred. And that's what we're talking about when we talk about xenophobia in South Africa. There are lots of people who have a short memory about our relationships with Africa. And those short memories are the ones that are fueling xenophobic violence in our country. There are those who are either totally ignorant or those who turn a blind eye in the historical mission that we have all as Africans to unite this continent. It's one of the most marginalized continents in the world, yet the one with the most resources. The resources that are under our ground that we dig up and send overseas, only to have those who receive them overseas to beneficiate them and sell them back to us. Because we failed to unite, and we failed to work as one, as those cut from the same African cloth. It's a total shame. The total shame that our leaders have failed this continent by failing after all these years of the existence of the OAU to unite this continent. And so we shouldn't celebrate as we see over 300 Nigerians sitting at the airport leaving because they no longer feel safe in another African country. You're sowing seeds of hatred, because those 300 Nigerians or more who are going to get to Nigeria with no plan of how to proceed there, because they had already situated their lives here, are only going to add to the bitterness, the bitter taste in the mouth of Nigerians when they get there. They're going to add to the bitter taste in the mouth of other Africans who are showing their displeasure at how we are conducting ourselves as South Africans when it comes to relationships with foreign nationals. I was listening to conversations throughout the last couple of days, and people beginning to say, we'll probably be the only country in the world where only the locals or local nationals are the only people in the country. Because you need to stretch to a logic to say, those who are saying, oh, let these people all go home, are they saying that those who are rooted here, they are permanent residents here, they are married here, they've got family here, must now up and go so that South Africans can stay pure on their own? It makes absolute nonsense. It's planting a seed of hatred. Mandela planted a seed of love and reconciliation. That's why around his era, just after the 94 elections, in his first term of office, when you traveled around the world, a red carpet was rolled out for you. People even thought you know Mandela personally. They will ask you, hey, have you met Mandela? You could be in the middle of New York. You could be in the middle of Singapore. You could be in the UK walking the streets, and you come across somebody who recognizes you as South African. Have you met Mandela? Now, when you go around the world, especially after the last 10 wasted years of kleptocracy, where the seed of hatred and ignorance was planted, people are going to ask you, what are you guys doing there? What are you guys doing there? You know, it's so negative, it's bad. If a friendly match can be cancelled by a country because they don't like what you are doing, when a spectacle of 300 foreign nationals have to leave hurriedly back to their countries, you know you've planted a seed of hatred. And you are going to reap the rewards. Now, businesses of South Africans overseas have to be on tenterhooks now, because their businesses could be stoned, their businesses could be shut down, their businesses could be burned to the ground. But we are revenging. That's what you are doing to our people in South Africa. That's what happens when you plant a seed of hatred. So woe unto you, Donald Trump, when you are fantasizing about this big wall you want to build around the United States. Hopefully 9/11 will trigger in your consciousness that no amount of wall will stop those who are reaping the fruit you've planted, a seed of hatred. Woe unto you when you chase foreign nationals, unless you have got no ambitions of traveling around the world, as the world becomes smaller and smaller, as the world becomes a small village where you can ply your trade anywhere in the world, as you land in those airports. Don't be surprised when you are not welcome with a smile. Don't be surprised when people ask you, what are you guys doing there? We're going to be talking at the bottom of this hour about the legacy, the mixed legacy of Robert Mugabe. His lifeless body has arrived in Harare, and his compatriots have welcomed him ahead of this weekend's burial. So we'll be talking to Tate Maponga at the bottom of the hour to tell us what it should mean for all of us